JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. August 9th, 2024. Just gonna be really quick here. Talk a little bit about the market, some names I was looking at, some of the names I added today, and just go from there. But S&P, it's only down 0.14% on the week, considering what we started out with. Pretty good shape this morning. Markets chopped around at the open, found its footing finally back over 530, and then we hit highs around 130 on the SPY, 534.51 we hit, and now we're down here 532. So all in all, not too bad. Nasdaq's doing well too, but small caps are in red, but not by much. So yeah, considering where we were at the start of the week to see this into the weekend, I think that bodes well. And then next week we get the most important CPI data in recent memory. I'm sure it's gonna be much talked about, much hyped. I believe it's the 14th at 8:30, so I think it's Wednesday morning. Another good sign here, the VIX, which was still elevated over 23 coming into today, was all the way up in the 24s by 10 o'clock, and then has just been melting ever since. So uh, I guess a picture perfect scenario or setup for next week would be the VIX getting back under 20, then to 18, back to 15. The SPY chopping around or at least churning and finding a new base. And then we get a cooler or at least inline CPI number. And I think that'll bode well. And then now the other data, considering what happened with the jobless claims, will be becoming more important. Manufacturing data, weekly jobless claims, the JOLTS number, which always seems to rear its head when you least think about it. Uh, yes, so it should be interesting. And there's still plenty of earnings next week. Why can't I get this here? Whoop. Am I still here? I don't even know if I'm still here. Hang on a second. Yeah, I think I messed this. I should be good. Am I on? Testing, testing. Yeah, I'm on. All right. All right. So first talk about some individual names, and really quick, I'll just talk about WW. It's a name I've been ranting about for quite some time. Obviously, hit lows after earnings. Um, Not yesterday, day before. Turned around, kind of held its ground yesterday, and then today you have SEMA, the CEO insider buy. I think it's 75,000 shares. Someone else did an insider buy. So between the two, it's about 130,000 share insider buy. Big deal considering it's a penny stock. It's under a buck. The stock broke higher after the open, rallied. I think it was up nearly 40% when it hit 110. And now it's just chopping around here at a buck. That could be it. That could be the catalyst that needed the kick in the butt. Because if you're the CEO of a company that has the possibility of going bankrupt or failing, defaulting under debt, whatever, the CEO coming in and buying shares kind of, not saying it makes that a remote possibility, but just I think it decreases the probability, and the stock is trading like there's nothing left with it, right? So they're cutting costs. At some point, they'll, the bull case here would be that they're able to pay debt down, return to growth, cut the costs, and the stock rallies. So I went and got more January strikes, and I'll probably just hold on to those. They're just I won't call them lotto tickets, but if there is any kind of turnaround in the coming months, it's not like WW is going to be a dollar stock. It's either going to be a zero, or penny stock trade, delist or what have you, or it's going to be 3, 4, $5, and then on its way upward. Huge short interest as well will probably pave the way. And I always talk about one of the reasons why I like the companies, because the new CEO came in. So she's a sharp cookie, and the fact that she you know didn't felt confident enough with the company to do an insider to buy, I think is huge. Not only that, it's a large percentage. She wasn't a big stakeholder to begin with, so I think it's like a 25 or 30% increase in her holdings. So good sign there. That's why I went and got some more strikes. It's one of those names I won't be watching it day to day too much, but I think hopefully this is the floor. Can get over a buck in the coming next week, maybe 125, then back over that 130, and then off to the races. So that's number one. Number two, I talked about getting some Dell calls at some point. It has a somewhat of a pincher setting up. Similar to what happened to Baidu when Baidu was $86 and it ran all the way up to I think it hit 105, 110. Not saying Dell's going to do the same exact thing, but at some point it's going to have a 10, 15, 20% multi-day rally. Nice reversal this morning. I was looking to get weekly strikes. Actually, those will probably pay off depending on what it does in the next 50 minutes. But instead, I went and got next week's calls just to give some more time. And then I was thankful that I did when it reversed from where I got the calls from, but then found some support around 10 o'clock, and it's been melting higher ever since. It's right at highs right now. I talked about on this morning's rant, just the bear cases right now is around the Blackwell with NVIDIA. Is that getting delayed? the Super Micro's earnings kind of talked a little bit about that. And despite the huge guidance raise and the 10-for-1 split and what have you, that stock's just getting pummeled. But you have to think, well, how much it was baked in to begin with when Dell went on this monster run from where it is, and it was trading substantially lower than where it is now, all the way up to 180 bucks. How much is it that, or how much to me is like an overreaction? I look at Dell and I, it should be trading even without the NVIDIA Blackwell situation. I think it should be trading in 130, 140 at minimum, and then much higher with that backdrop of uh, the servers and so on and so forth. So add those strikes. I'll continue to hold those into next week. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, folks. Now I'm back on audio. Uh, so Beyond Meat. So Beyond Meat used to be a name I used to love back in the day. Kind of transformative in regards to disrupting sectors, and then they just got to the points. They're I'm not going to get in a rant about their product or any of that stuff. It's not something I have ever eaten. I don't think I have, but they do have revenues. They do fit a niche. They do have deals with some fast food companies, and they're everywhere, but their costs and debt and all that is an issue for them. So they had decent earnings. Stock spiked yesterday, and then there's like continuation today. I'm watching it go, and I look at the call volume, and the call volume was insane. And who knows if that's some of it because the short interest, you always have shenanigans because folks are trying to protect themselves. So you could have someone who's short, you know, play some games, sell calls to open or what have you, just to capture premium. I don't know, but once it halted and came back, it looked like there was a bull flag setting up on the 1 minute daily. So I went and got some strikes into next week. I'll continue to hold those. You never know. This is one of those names. It could be a meme run. It could run 50% just because people are getting on board, and then you'll have FOMO. It'll run another 200-300%, and then at some point it'll drop. But you take a look back in May, it was almost $10. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it train up there early to start the week, and I might look for some other inexpensive. There's spec call lottos, so it's kind of like a hero zero ticket. So that's Beyond Meat. ENVX, I already did my little rant this morning and yesterday. It's sitting here right at the 200-day moving average. The instant I posted on FinTwit, people come after me. That's what they do with this stock for some reason. If you post charts or you post any kind of due diligence, the people who are long the stock, they call you a basher and all these different, which is fine. I understand if your people are posting against your position, it's upsetting, right? So then come out with some argument to refute what I have to say or what have you. That's fine. I can have a respectful conversation. But the first time I started talking about this name a couple of months ago, I just got just a barrage of personal attacks, right? So one of those people who did that was with the guy Greg Reyes. He's the CEO of Brocod. Well, it was, but how do you pronounce it? He was selling options. Whether there was he got convicted for some front dating calls. I forget what he was doing. But needless to say, he's a bull on EMVX. And the first time I posted, I never knew who this guy was, and he's bashing me, right? So sure enough, I have a little time. I watch I guess he's a little more skittish on some of the names that some of these folks seem to follow, like Beyond, right? Overstock.com. There's a whole cohort of people who are bullish that name. Seems like he went the other way and people are just destroying him. So he left Twitter or he took a hiatus, and then he did a YouTube interview. Talks about, and I could post a link if someone wants to direct message. I'll send it. I listened to a little while, but anyway, just to get in summation, because I don't want to go on a rant too long on this. He's a little he was up and down. He still believes in the NVX, but then he said one of the reasons he's upset with them is their investor relations. They're not giving the right story on news and things like that. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, if you're a good company, the last thing that should be moving your stock is your investor relations, right? Hang on one sec. Sorry about that. The investor relations is it's like to me, it's like not saying it's like saying, oh, it's a great company, but the investor relations are causing the stock price to go down. If you have a great underlying business or a future or whatever, this investor relations should be the last thing that should matter. The only time investor relations matter is if it's a shady company, or there's question marks, right? And then when you have investor relations who are probably told what to send out, or a press release, and they don't answer any of those questions, then the stock's going to fall. So I just kind of find it comical that they're blaming investor relations. Like, don't blame investor relations. Blame the fact that they haven't issued any solid customer, any contracts. Everything's handshakes. Everything's been memorandums of understandings, um, agreements, or whatever. There's no meat. So then now, I already talked about. So you have the CEO selling shares. You have that TJ Rogers thing. It's all over FinTwit if you read. Uh, they filed a registration statement for his 6 million warrants that converted, I think, at 11.75. So there's all these different things, and I got some message on why it's falling today. I don't, first it reversed course after its factory opening. I guess there was a positive analyst note out there. I don't see how you can be positive a name after walking their factory. The only way you can do that is if their product is rolling off the production line. So anyway, rants for other days, but I ended those September puts. I might look for other positions into next week if it's under this 200-day moving average. It seems stubborn though. This is gonna be like the 5th session in a row will be at the 200-day moving average. So I'll probably just wait and see. So that's ENVX. Still watching for a possible entry into Clear Secure U. It's green today, but it's kind of green that it's killing premiums. At times the calls I closed, the 2468s I closed yesterday were up nicely, but premiums are creeping out. So maybe I'll revisit next week, looking at September strikes. VKTX. J Rock was in the chat room earlier, asking if I can give him $2 to $3 to the upside close on VKTX. It's up nearly $2 right now, so that could be. And then hopefully one of these weekends there'll be some M&A in the biotech space, and it'll be one of these GLP-1 names, and VKTX, GPCR, Altimmune. It's gonna be one of those. It'll happen at some point. And then last but not least is turn. I talk about turn like a broken record. I'm still looking for October strikes, maybe some September, and I would call the September speculative because you don't know if the data is going to come out before or after option expiration. But watching that one, I'm trying to think of some of the other names. PayPal was looking great earlier today, and I missed that one, so I'll just I don't want to have too much risk into the weekend. Yeah, we also have more geopolitical concerns, right? So now we have the Middle East, which was already there over last weekend. At some point, there's going to be some escalation with Iran and Israel or whoever it's going to be. And yeah, it's going to cause uncertainty. And typically these events happen over the weekend. Like, who remembers when you had that revolt in the Russia army and they were going up with their tanks to Moscow to get Putin, right? You remember that over the weekend? I'm like, oh gosh, here goes the markets. And then that got resolved. It seems like every weekend, it seems like when things happen, it's over the weekend, these geopolitical things. So I would not be surprised to see some kind of flare up, and you just hope it's not enough to spook markets, right? So I don't want to take too much more risks into the weekend. And then next week is option expiration 2 for the monthlies. So that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Got 40 minutes to the close. Thanks for listening. Rock and roll.